Hey, hello. Welcome back to Funcast, episode 25. Our guest today is LaughingJims. Many of you know him by his gymnopilus grows, azurescens grows, and just, foraging abilities of these wild mushrooms as well. Thanks for coming on the cast today, brother.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Pleasure.
How's it going? How's your day going so far?
Good. We're having first real day of spring here in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon. Super exciting. All the mushrooms should be starting to pop up here in the next few weeks, and super excited to get back out and spend a bunch of time in the woods.
Hell yeah, man. So they're not growing just quite yet. You still got a couple more weeks to go.
There's things starting, but yeah, the prime time will be starting in the next couple weeks, early April.
Um, that's cool, man. I mean, I was like just kind of like doing like a little brief look at your page, and I the gymnopilus grows. How like I haven't seen many people do a grow of that nature. What brought you to trying to cultivate it?
Um, Interest really, but just kind of exploring with different species and actually cultivated the species maybe like 5 years ago. And yeah, I just wanted to revisit it. And I had also collected so I had two species that I'd collected this past year that I wanted to kind of cultivate so I could study them further, just create more samples and get some more data. So that was kind of the premise of it, starting.
I haven't seen like a lot of yeah, like a lot of people grow them. If not, like I feel like you're one of the first people I've seen actually grow that. I guess genus. How is it different from you'd say I say maybe like a gourmet such as like lion's mane or oyster, or maybe like even a cube. Um,
Um, it's pretty similar in cultivation process. They typically grow on wood. So the East Coast ones generally are more commonly found on hardwood substrate versus the West Coast ones generally are on conifer species. So there could be a little bit of variation maybe in the substrate used depending on where the specimens were collected originally. But it's pretty straightforward. I think a lot of people just haven't really experimented with it because there are not a lot of accessible spores or cultures going around in the community, and there really isn't much known information about potency. So people kind of aren't as interested, I guess, in doing it
the
until
R and
someone
D
else does it,
process.
and then
Oh, you keep going, but sorry about
oh,
that.
um, yeah, I think people are getting really interested, and I had lots of positive feedback in the recent posts I've been posting, and we'll see. I
Sounds
don't
pretty
know how
cool to me.
much edible potential there is there really, but I think scientifically it's definitely cool to study.
I mean, yeah, for sure. I don't think it's like mycology is so much more than just like growing cubes or like
Uh-huh.
growing lion's mane. There's so many mushrooms out there that aren't necessarily edible, but it's just as interesting. Uh, I feel like Alan Rockefeller does a good way of shining light to all the mushrooms, not just the ones that have like benefits per se, right?
Yeah, I think another cool thing is they're pretty much all UV reactive, so there's a lot of potential there with making cool dyes or anything products that are UV reactive. Um,
I've noticed that. Like I saw that even you showed on your page of the UV reactiveness of the mushrooms. So is that like that's something that you can extract per se? That's like that quality or trait.
yeah, so you can simply just kind of squish the mushrooms up in your hand, and the chemicals will just get on your skin. If you shine the light, you can see it that way. I've also made just a simple extract by chopping the mushrooms up and putting them in some alcohol and then alcohol's fluorescent. Anything you put that on will also become fluorescent.
That's pretty cool. I kind of would assume that it would just be like would have been what's the word I'm looking for? I guess like it would break down, so it wasn't UV reactive or like I guess over time. Um, but that's pretty interesting, man. I mean, have you always been into mushrooms? Like, have you has foraging been a big part of your life?
Definitely the last like 9 years, pretty heavy. I'm originally from New York, so I kind of got into it as I was getting into foraging edible plants out there. And when I moved to Oregon, the mushroom culture here was just way more vibrant, and I was able to make more community within that, and uh, progressively just spending more and more time outside and exploring and studying, and it's evolved
Dude,
a lot since then.
what part of New York were you from? My or like when I started my company, I was living at in Yonkers at the time.
I grew up in the Adirondacks, the High Peak region, up in
Okay.
northern New York.
Have you ever met Jaron uh, Deshane, Adirondack Mycology?
I don't think so, no.
He's a cool guy, doing a lot of like gourmet grows at the time, but I think he's slowed down on that and is doing more homestead kind of stuff with his wife lately. Well, that's cool, dude. You're like up there, man. That's like basically Canada.
Yeah, super close. Really, really cool ecology. One of the cooler places I think that I've been on the East Coast as far as just really diverse tree species, habitats, lots of cool fungi.
So what are you doing when you're not foraging? Do you have many hobbies outside of mycology?
Uh, that one's definitely the main one, but yes, I do. I'm big into dancing. I dance a lot.
Nice.
Spend a lot of my time doing that. Craft here and there, a variety
What
of
kind of
things.
dance? Like, is it like any specific kind?
I've been doing ecstatic dance, contact, improv, and recently just getting into fusion dancing.
Dude, that's really cool. I've been to a couple of static dances myself. There's a local yoga studio that does them like at pretty much like every full moon. I'm pretty sure it is, and where my friend Sophia owns the yoga studio. It's fun to go to and just kind of like not really speak and just
Uh-huh.
like dance, you know?
Yeah, it's a great way to tune in with your body, and really powerful to use as a tool, like medicinally. Um,
I
Really
mean, I
profound.
know like I know it's supposed to be like a sober thing, but I've noticed that like you like take a little microdose before the static dance is
Yeah,
usually way better.
I think a microdose is allowed. Yeah.
For sure. I see you got the septum piercing, man. So
Yeah.
do I. The septum club. We're a dying breed, brother.
Bringing it
It's so
back.
cool. You gotta, for the most part, I feel like with like life in general, it's kind of funny how like everything just pretty much comes back. Like all of like the new hip things are just something that was like two generations before us.
Uh huh.
And so it's like the '90s are gonna be come back when in like in like 2040. um, that's cool. So you said you do so dancing is another hobby, and what other hobbies are we talking about?
I do some crafts. I've been making flutes and a little bit of jewelry work,
Flutes,
silversmithing. Yeah,
like
flutes,
instruments. So
instruments.
do
Yeah,
you also play the flute?
yeah, I play them. Yeah.
What kind of flute is it? Do you have any like examples that you could,
I have my most recent one I could show you.
if
It's
you don't
one of the
mind?
cooler ones. pretty special. I actually collected the so it is a
Wow, that's beautiful.
it's a double flute. It's made out of bird wing bones that I collected while foraging for mushrooms.
Holy crap,
So
that's so
it's
cool.
and then I also fabricated this little component here, pulled it together.
And is it like are all like these flutes? Do they like is it set at a specific key kind of?
Generally, yes. This one's a double, so it's in two. These are both in the same key, but the notes are keyed different.
Okay,
So,
love to hear it if
yeah.
you. Dude,
These
what?
are
That
pretty
is so
cool. Yeah.
badass. 100%. So how does that like? Did you are the bones? I guess just naturally hollow, or did you have to?
The bird bones are naturally hollow, but I made a few other ones out of mammal bones, and you got to haul those out a little bit.
That's pretty cool. That's what. How did you get into making flutes?
Um, well, I started going to this open mic, and some years ago, and I met somebody who was a flute maker and offered to teach me, and signed up for a class and started making them after that.
Nice, man. The freaking A. That's like a cool way to integrate. I guess yeah, like you're just a foraging, right? You go and forage, you find some bones. Now you can get like yourself a meal of like mushrooms. Shit, who knows? If depending on the animal, could be
Yeah,
the animal too. And like the definition of actually just using um, all of the animal, right, for the utmost respect.
yeah,
I'm big on that. I think like realistically, if we all could I'd prefer to like just like, and I guess in a utopian world, live off of the hunt of like one animal rather than having to go to the grocery store.
uh huh,
But I saw that you cultivated azurescens, man.
yeah.
Could you talk? Like, could we talk a little bit about that? Because like that's like super cool. I was always under the impression that like that pretty much couldn't be cultivated indoors.
Yeah. So it's kind of a some. It's a tech that uh, has been used and kind of documented for psilocybe, avoideo, dentata, and basically it's not super. It's like kind of a it's cultivated but not in sterile conditions, I guess. I think that's the key to the process. And basically, you want to create your spawn, get it naturalized, which is just introducing it to the environment and the conditions outside. So, kind of like what I would suggest would to be get it onto wood chips. And this should work for anything in this section, cyanescence, any of the wood loving species, and probably a bunch of other things too. Um, but yeah, plant it in some wood chips. You get the wood chips outside, buried in the ground for a little while, get the natural microbes in there, and then you can dig back up that spawn, put it in your tote, and bring it into proper fruiting conditions, which tends to be pretty cold. So for this species, you kind of want to be in the low 50s. And yeah, it seemed to work. I've done it with cyanescence, and I'm trying some other species too. It seems to work pretty well. I think it's just one of those things where people want to be really in control and sterile, and a lot of the attempts to do it that way have just not been fruitful. So
Yeah, I've always heard about like the whole microbes and the wood lovers needing the microbes, and they're kind of like they have the symbiotic relationship with the land they're growing on. Um, and that's like a pretty cool idea. It's something I really would have never thought about as far as getting the natural microbes from the ground and then transferring that into a tub. And I guess it's, once it's already in the ground and you transfer it to a tub, it's not like it's going to contaminate. It's like kind
Yeah,
of
yeah, I haven't had any contamination issues. More concerning would be bringing bugs back inside or something, which can happen. But
nice. Is that so? When you do that, do you do that in bags or tubs?
I've been using like a shoebox tote, but I think anything would work. Any kind of container that can hold humidity.
All right. That's pretty cool. It's something I've always kind of been interested in, and honestly, it's something I can't really do anyways because I live out in Florida. So wood lovers is pretty much just not a thing for me.
Yeah,
Moving.
you need those low 50s.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny where it isn't it like a lot of people who don't really know much about mushrooms go to like straight to thinking that they need it to be hot and humid. And then, I have a lot of people who live in like temperate, tropical climates who are like, how do I get, I heard, well, first off, I heard azurescens is the most potent. So how can I grow that? And
Huh.
I'm like, oh man, I don't even know where to begin. uh, it's just like, I pretty much always go like, you go straight to like, you're probably not going to be able to grow that. That takes a lot of like, skill and knowledge to do if you can do it. Um, but I feel like that's also like, that was just a big tip, man. That was a big tip that you just gave as far as that's concerned. So appreciate that. When did you get into cultivation of like fungus?
Pretty early on, I was in college and uh, had been searching the internet for years, just learning about growing cubensis, and bought a syringe and just kind of got started in a little tiny fish tank I had at the time, and was just instantly hooked. Just how easy it was relatively, and just being able to have success in such a short period of time and turnover, it was super exciting. And has as it's progressed over the years, I've moved more into cultivating things that I've just collected and studying things from nature and trying to see what I can get to grow in the laboratory. And
What are some of the, what are some of your, I guess, your favorite finds as far as like wild forages, man?
oh, there's so many. Um,
Go with top five.
oh wow.
I know it's a hard question.
Yeah, I guess. Well, the gymnopilus that I recently Delipis, Gymnopilus delipis was a pretty cool one. I was pretty stoked on that. It's like the second or third recording of the species in the Pacific Northwest, which was pretty exciting. Hasn't been well documented, and yeah, I was able to culture it and fruit it, and I got DNA sequence data on it, so that was
Is that
super exciting.
was that something that you were looking for specifically, or was it something that you kind of just like came across?
I just happened to find it, and I knew it was interesting, something I hadn't seen before, so got excited and collected it. Took some good photos in the field, and
That's cool, man. I was looking up some of that, and like, I mean, it's kind of badass the fact that you can go out into wherever wherever you're currently living and be like, I know a lot about this area and the natural things that grow in this, and this is something that I've never seen before. So I'm going to have to,
uh,
take a little culture or something. Just genuinely, knowing your surroundings and
yeah, you get that familiarity, and then things start to pop out when you don't recognize it. It's kind of just like the progression of spending lots of time in the woods to really get the data of what exists and what doesn't, and be able to
For sure,
familiarize
man.
yourself with
When I
that.
mean, I know outside of like you, I guess scientific studies and stuff, do you do? Do you find much? Gourmet. Do you do much like gourmet foraging? And then I guess second question would be, do you throw down in the kitchen with all that stuff as well?
Yeah, I love to collect edible mushrooms too. Um, Super into morels and matsutake are probably my favorite ones to go for it. Chanterelles, any of the hericiums. And yeah, I love to cook. Generally eat best when it's mushroom season, cook up the best stuff. And yeah, I just really love it. It's some of the best ingredients you can get.
That's cool. Or do you, I know I don't know much, about your current living situation. Are you like able to like homestead or like, farm some plants and stuff where you're at?
I'm living in an apartment in the city, so I don't really have space outdoors,
There.
fortunately. Um, but yeah, foraging provides quite a bit. I can get lots of foraged greens and edible plants, mushrooms. So
That's awesome. Do you ever go to like, like the farmers markets and stuff with all the foraged edibles, or is it more so just like a personal thing?
it's just personal. Yeah, I don't really sell anything, but I have traded, occasionally some mushrooms for pizza or something good.
Good, dude. And mushrooms for pizza? That actually, I have not gotten to do that yet, and I'm kind of like envious and jealous right now.
Yeah, if you're lucky, you can convince them to put some of the mushrooms on the pizza too.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I mean, depending, that could be a fun time depending on what kind of mushrooms you put on the pizza.
Yeah,
Gotta play like pizza roulette, and like there's only one slice
yeah.
with bunny mushrooms, you could say. um, so Oregon, dude. The Pacific Northwest. Isn't that pretty much like one of the best places to forage in the United States, as far as it's what I've heard.
I would say yes. It's got an incredible ecology. You have the Cascade Range, which is very unique, and then you have like the Coastal Range, which is also very unique. So you have quite a diversity of different places to go, and yeah, pretty much any month of the year, there's something cool to find. All through summer, you go really high elevation in the mountains, and then in the winter time, there's truffles and it's pretty much nonstop, which is very fun and nice.
For truffles, I didn't know truffles were a winter thing. Um, is that like, have you gotten to go truffle hunting, or at least like seen a truffle pig or dog or?
I haven't gone on an official truffle hunt, but I have found them occasionally, just being out in the woods and looking in squirrel holes and being observant. I actually have the,
No way.
I don't know if you can read it backwards, but
Yeah.
Oregon Truffle
Looking in
Society.
squirrel holes, so like squirrels find truffles and they just like hide them in holes in trees. Is that what you're saying right now?
No, so they'll dig them up and they eat them generally, but sometimes they'll dig them up and either they don't like them or they're not ripe and they'll leave them in the hole. And so, yeah, you can see like go around, look for fresh dug out little squirrel holes. And I'll generally stick my nose down in there. If there's a ripe truffle, you can smell it and then you can excavate it out.
All right, that's kind of funny. I just like pictured you going down, taking a good old whiff. It's like, yep,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Uh huh. Something stinky down there.
So it's like an unripe. If it's an unripe truffle that the squirrel won't eat, will it? Nah, I guess not be good for us as well. Or
You can ripen them. They'll ripen real quick if you bring them, put them in your fridge for a day or two, typically.
oh, I didn't realize that. Dude, truffles are such a. It's like that's also one of those things. It's just like I just don't get. We don't get them down here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and there's such a like a hype for it. It's like a funky cheese stank mushroom.
Uh-huh.
There's, but it's so good. Um, what's the largest truffle you've ever found?
Oh, the biggest one I found was a tiny little one, but they get way bigger. They get golf ball or bigger size.
Yeah, imagine like finding like a fucking hot potato. That would be nice.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you really need a dog if you really want to hit it good.
So do they use is that they use dogs now over pigs, right?
Think more commonly dogs. I'm sure somebody's still using pigs, but I think dogs are just more preferred.
I think I heard it because like the pigs would eat them.
I think so. Yeah, that sounds
Can't
probably
blame
right.
them.
Yeah,
Like one for me, one for you.
yeah.
I think it's a fair trade.
Uh-huh.
Fair trade. I know it's like there's two different. There's like white truffles and black truffles, right? Are they?
Yeah, we have both here in Oregon. Yep.
And do they pretty much grow like I don't really know too, but do they grow kind of in the same area, like based around the same trees and stuff like that, or is it two different like symbiotic relationships?
They're generally associated with the same species of tree, and they can definitely be found in the same environment. But the whites typically can be found with much younger age trees, so you can find them trees from maybe like 7 years or older, versus the blacks are generally just on mature, older growth. And
Okay,
most of the time, it's on Doug fir or true fir species.
okay, that's good to know. Just in case one day I'm up in the Canadian North.
Uh,
No, just no. You're in Oregon now. My bad. I'm
there
stupid.
might be some in Florida, honestly. I think a lot of it's
For
been,
real?
they're underground. It's hard to find. A lot of people aren't looking. There's possibilities they could be
I mean, I
everywhere.
found chanterelles before.
Uh
Found a
huh.
couple of patches of
Yeah.
chanterelles in my local area. That's my claim to fame right now.
Nice.
When did you get into like what made you get into mycology? What sparked your interest?
I think the biggest interest is just how undiscovered it is, how much of it, the potential for discovery that lies within it is just huge, both within just my personal experience and then the greater scientific experience of it as well. So being able to just go out and find something um, that only appears for this one short moment of the year and to be in the right place at the right time, and it's always changing, and just having that connection is really really cool.
Dude, I feel that 100%. Then the fact that you said that it appears for a certain amount of time, that kind of really just hit me a lot harder than it like I feel like I kind of expected it to because it's kind of true, for the most part some of these mushrooms you I mean in the fruiting it's process as you got like a week. I feel like pink oysters. I hear those are some of like the quickest rotting mushrooms, as far as the oyster or the Pleurotus species, right? And it's kind of I guess I didn't really even think about it like that, but it's like yeah, you got to be really out there, freaking knees deep in like tick infected woods just to like look at this damn mushroom that might like just for a chance to maybe see it if
Uh-huh.
it decides to fruit where you are walking.
Yeah, and then you find it that year in that spot, and you come back multiple years after that, and sometimes it's just never there again, and you're just like,
Well, like even like Uncle Fungus, shout out to Drew as well. Thanks for the recommendation for having you on the podcast.
yeah,
You're so far, it's like you're really interesting. You're a cool person, man. It's been nice
thank you,
talking to
thank
you.
you.
What Drew said. Well, you know that photo where he had that really big log with all the chicken in the woods on it, and I guess he supposedly he harvested like something like 40 pounds of like chicken in the woods from this one log. and then ever since then it hasn't fruited. And it's just
Uh
like,
huh.
imagine winning. It's like winning the lottery, and
Yeah.
then like having the knowledge to know that this lottery could be a very much a thing yearly, and then it just never fruits again. It's like, damn it.
Uh huh.
It's like, here's a taste.
Yeah. Yeah. The weather. There's so many factors involved. It really adds to the challenge of that.
Well, I mean, I guess this is like like kind of like a joke, but like with global warming, all the zones are changing. So who knows? May have more L's in fucking Florida one day.
Yeah. Yeah. Things are changing quick. Seasons are starting earlier. Things are coming up months after they typically do. It's been interesting, and it's cool to have that connection with nature too when you're out there, and you can see that from year to year too when you're out looking for stuff.
I've noticed that, yeah, man. Like even just the local, just learning. I guess really where I've learned the most is just the chanterelles currently. Uh, Seeing the seasons. Like I've noticed that like the season is longer in Florida than it is for the rest of the year, which makes sense because just I guess the tropical climate and stuff, we're not really
Uh-huh.
getting like the temperature is not really changing a significant amount. Um, but yeah, it's like last year was a little colder than it was this year, I think. Um, and I don't know. I guess like so far I'm seeing that the chanterelles start growing when it's a little colder, more so than it just being like blistering hot. But I guess at the end of the day, the most important thing is the water and the rain.
Hmm.
Without rain, there's no mushrooms pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, the humidity is important. Good rainfall.
Um, do you go to many of the Myco events, or do you have any plans on going to any Myco events this year?
I went to a decent amount of things last year. Hoping to make it back out to some things this year. Don't have any solid plans yet, but I generally do some traveling each year uh, to some different locations, kind of mostly around studying fungi. And so I went to Myco Fest last year. That was a good one, Pennsylvania.
Okay, I heard like I was just talking about that one with Philly Golden Teacher in like last month. That's one that, yeah, he asked me if I was going. He said he was going for sure. But I don't know. I know I'm going to do the ovoid little foray that Drew's holding up in Pennsylvania.
Oh,
I think it's in
nice.
like May.
That should be good.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited about that. Just to go like see. I've never seen a wood lover, like a psychedelic wood lover in person, uh, growing in nature. And even when I was living out in Yonkers, I couldn't really like I was in groups where people were like posting photos right off bike trails of like just wood chips and like straight up flushing. They're getting like you know bags full, and I was like looking so hard and couldn't find shit. It's that's hard. Do you do you do the rogue inoculation of the wood chips? Is that
Yeah, so that's a big thing we've been involved in here in Portland, just spreading things around and taking some colonized wood chips and putting them around local parks and various locations where there's uh, landscaping wood chips. And uh, my friend and a couple other friends were working on a short clip movie that's going to be called Sporlandia. It's going to go into detail and kind of the process of doing that and inoculating and the reasons behind it, and um, just
are
helping to
we
create.
talking about Mushpocalypse by any chance?
Yeah, yeah, Matt Mush Apocalypse.
That's awesome. We were like, so we. our the episode with like that Matt is like going to be on, we're going to actually planning on showcasing Sportlandia.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, so that's gonna be real cool. We've got a bunch of good footage and had really good success planting patches, and it's just all the nicest patches that I've seen have been planted. So if you really want nice big patches, you gotta do a little bit of work. And if everyone did it, we'd all have tons of mushrooms that are growing everywhere. So
And that's like as simple as can be, right? I mean, it's just all about just getting some liquid culture. I guess doesn't even matter if it's contaminated or not at that point.
not really. Once you put it outside, generally most things will just in the natural environment they are much stronger with their competitors and not so likely to be overtaken by contamination.
That's so that's cool how the Matt. How long have you guys known each other? Is that like
A couple years. Yeah.
that's cool. He's a good guy. I like he's a great cultivator as well. I remember he was doing some time lapses, and that was also pretty cool.
Yeah, his time lapses are great.
But yeah, man. So what are some of your what are your do you cultivate cubes much? Is that a thing for you?
No, I don't really. I stopped doing that some years ago. I would and I will, like, if I collect some wild culture myself, some wild
Yeah.
specimens, I'll try to grow it out. But I've been more interested in just growing obscure things. I've been working a lot on entomopathogenic fungi, so culturing things like
What is that? You said Ecuadorian pathogenic fungi?
entomopathogenic. So it's
Etnomo. Okay.
so fungi that parasitize and kill bugs.
Oh, like the Bulvaria? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Bavaria,
There.
cordyceps. Um, so yeah, a lot of my
That's
current
cool.
projects have been with those.
Or like the spotted lanternfly. I've seen a lot of people. I think it was actually Matt from Muspocalypse. He's trying to like kill them with that with the culture Bulvaria. I think it was.
Yeah,
Um, and it's kind of like a cool concept, just as far as the invasive species and stuff like that, and fighting back invasive species with mycelium.
yeah, it's a great pesticide use, killing just bugs for farming or agriculture, and non-toxic to humans. So there's a lot of promising possibilities there, and it's really not. There's a few companies that sell products, but it's not like super cheap or commercially available for most people.
It's interesting. Do you have any you got any fun projects you excited about for 2024 this
Yeah,
year?
I got a whole bunch of things, bunch of undescribed species that I'm trying to cultivate and just learn about, and hopefully I'll get some DNA sequences up on them soon, so I can kind of have a better understanding of what they are. But
So it's like I see on your page, man. There's so many great photos. Are you the photographer behind all of these photos as well? Because that must be like a hobby of yours at that point.
yeah, I'm the photographer. I spent a lot of time progressing my photos over the years. I'm definitely getting better every time I shoot a photo. I feel like it's just the quality of the image is just getting better. Last year, I've really gotten into focus stacking. So taking a whole bunch of series of photos and then compressing them down into one image to just get everything in focus and just get really high quality photos. So that's
Dude,
been
I
nice.
think um, Alan Rockefeller was kind of like talking a little bit about focus stacking at the Ethnogen Expo, this past one, and that's pretty cool. I guess it's like, what's the like what's it called when they take like a photo of a sky, or like when they do like the light drawing?
It'd be like long exposure. Maybe.
Yeah, is it similar to long exposure, kind of?
Not quite. It's a bunch of photos. So I'll set my camera up, and generally I'll take like 20 to 60 photos, and each photo will
Okay.
be a slightly different focus of the image, and starting at the front of the image and working backwards. So that allows you to combine them, uh, and basically every piece of the image will be in focus that you want it to be.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. It's like basically just like 4K definition. It's slivers of 4K definition all
Yeah,
put together.
yeah, because a lot of things I
It's
like to take photos of are really small, and if you would just take a single photo, you couldn't get the whole object in focus.
Yeah, even like what it's I don't know. I'm definitely gonna butcher this, but the cis cispa spora parasita. It's like a parasite, basically,
Yeah,
and it's like the photo looks like it's like really cool, but I could really like just looking at this, it looks like it's like extremely small.
yeah, they're very small, little tiny. Even to see them with your eye, they're just little tiny black hairs.
It's cool, man.
That was a really cool one. That find there was, I think, probably the first or second documentation of that species on the West Coast.
Really, what did you find it on?
So that was growing on Bavaria, and something I've been doing, which has also been exciting, and I've had some other good discoveries, is I'll collect bugs that are I notice are parasitized by a fungus, but maybe doesn't have a lot of evidence of what that is, and I'll bring them home and incubate them in just a moist container for a week or two. And that one just looked like a standard Bavaria, but I did notice a little something on another specimen that I found, this little black hair, and so I brought it home and incubated it, and a week later it had all these black parathisia growing on it, and I was super excited because I knew it was something cool and not well documented. So
That's like it's the fact that the things are well documented. It's kind of just like it kind of blown my mind. It's just pretty cool, man. Is there like a some websites that you recommend somebody could go to start learning about all of these like everything, I guess fungi?
yeah, the best resource I think is iNaturalist. I would suggest anyone to get on there, not only to record the things they find, but also just to research. So you can search your local bioregion, see what other people have found, which helps to figure out how common something may or may not be. You can search time of year. You can do all these really cool searches on there. So that's probably the best database, um, for things that are at least are known to science. And then once they're not known, they're not documented, then it's kind of becomes a little harder to find that information. But
It's like you got to fill your Pokedex of iNaturalists first before you get into the nitty gritty of the
yeah,
unknown. It's funny, man.
uh,
Um, Gosh, well, honestly, it's been pretty great talking to you, but you've been like a wealth of knowledge today as far as a lot of topics and subjects that I've been interested in for a long time, but just I guess never really, you know, deep dived into the research.
mm.
That's and so yeah, man, it's been pretty cool talking to you, getting to know you, bud. I will want to maybe start wrapping up the episode, but I do have one pretty serious question for you. And that question would be, what what is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Um, oh, there's so many kinds though. It's such a
No,
um,
no, yeah, I'm giving you got one. All right, two. I'll give you two.
oh, I don't even know if that makes it easier, but let's see. I like pistachio. Pistachio ice cream's good,
Pistachio. All right,
especially
you're
if
the
you get
first pistachio so far.
soft serve pistachio.
Soft serve pistachio.
You
I
can
didn't
get
even know that
that.
was a
It's
thing. Hold
it's a
on.
rare thing, but if you can find it,
Where can you find soft serve pistachio? That
I've only had it up in the Adirondacks at this little creamery.
all right. Shout out to the Little Creamery and freaking the Adirondacks for thinking outside of the box. Yeah. Well, gosh, James, I'd love to have you on again, man.
Yeah,
Just
appreciate it.
we could chat a little bit more about the season and see where your projects take you in a couple of months.
Yeah, I just want to show you one thing real quick.
Oh, dude, no, I mean, gosh, we could go on. We could
Yeah,
stay on for even longer.
that's just the
Oh shit! Holy crap! The gymno.
yeah. This is the dialypus. So it's
No, we did
nice.
not just get a harvest on video. That is so cool. So I guess before we go, how long did that take to fruit?
Um, this is about a week from pinning, but overall, I probably started the process in like October. So
Cool. And like that was just like you just kind of you said you started the process in October. That means you just like mixed up the sub.
that's when I cloned the mushroom and started, yeah, working the agar out.
Oh
And
shit. Okay. So you realistically you didn't get it into the bag until like, maybe November or so.
yeah, it was probably a month in the bag before I had pins.
Damn. So gosh, that's crazy. They're like just it's basically like a regular mushroom at that point.
Yeah, they're pretty quick.
Who would have thought? I definitely wouldn't have thought. For some reason, I felt like this was like a year long process. I see all my friends messing with like Zapatacorum and stuff, and they're like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, this has been colonizing since like 2019. I just
yeah,
got
yeah,
pins for the first time." I'm like,
yeah. It's dedication for sure.
For sure, for sure, for sure. Damn. Well, thanks again for coming on the podcast, man. I'd love to see the future projects, and see what you get going. What you're working with is really interesting, and not a lot of people are doing it in the community. And appreciate you just coming on and sharing a little bit about that.
Yeah, I really appreciate being on here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and then we'll have you on again soon. With that being said, I'll catch you on the flip side, buddy. Much love, man.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Catch you later. Peace.